I really think we're going to see a great show here tonight, folks. We've got some great characters on the set, and without further ado, starting off with the aliens, we've got Brainchild Debbie and Evelyn Frygun. They're aliens. Remember them in that order, folks. It's alphabetical. Brainchild Debbie and Evelyn Frygun. The first alien, Brainchild Debbie, is really smart and has a really big head, even for an alien. Special powers include having great ideas, and she can fly if water gets on her. Now remember, she's an alien, and that means she's top heavy. Aliens are 4 spaces tall, with 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom. Brainchild Debbie. Our other alien is Evelyn Frygun. Her special powers are she can fly, but she keeps it secret. She's got a gun that shoots French fries, and they trigger thunder in clouds. Now remember, folks, Evelyn is also an alien, which means that she is also top heavy. And remember, that means they're 4 spaces tall, with 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom. Evelyn Frygun. Next, we have the bats. Coming to you now, upside down. We've got Abraham Batchild and Deaf Mouse. They're bats. The first bat is Abraham Batchild. His powers include he can carry other characters while flying, and he's a good lookout. Now he's a bat, so remember, bats are bottom heavy, and that means that they're 4 spaces tall, with 1 on the top and 2 on the bottom. Abraham Batchild. The other bat is Deaf Mouse. Deaf Mouse, yeah, he's a bat, even though his name is Deaf Mouse. But he can get away with it because he's a DJ. And his special powers are making awesome music, and he can hide large objects in his mouth. Now remember, Deaf Mouse is also a bat, which means that he's bottom heavy, and bats are 4 spaces tall, with 1 on the top and 2 on the bottom. Deaf Mouse. Now let me tell you about the shorties. Our 2 shorties are Cricket Davis and Gary Anderson. They're shorties. Cricket Davis and Gary Anderson. Now the first of the shorties is Cricket Davis. Cricket Davis has 1 special power. His power is that he's good at hopping, because he's a cricket. And he's in the class with the shorties, which include the cricket and the brush. Now remember, shorties are only 3 spaces tall, and you just leave out the one in the middle. Cricket Davis. The other shorty is Gary Anderson. Gary Anderson is a brush, and his powers are he's good at brushing dirt. Music makes him fly, and he can make it rain if he touches a cloud. Now he is a shorty also. Remember, cricket and the brush are both shorties, and that means that they're 3 spaces tall, and you leave out the one in the middle. Gary Anderson. Alright folks, we have 1 more character to introduce. Last but not least, in a class of his own, I give you Gabe. Gabe's only power is, well, I guess it's not really a power, but he is the first character. And he is a human, and we call him a tall boy, because he is 5 spaces tall, and you just leave out every other one, starting with the second one. Alright, well here we go.
One day at the cliff, Gabe got too close and slipped, but he held on to the edge. And that's when he saw his friend, Cricket Davis. He hopped over and tried to save him, but the angle made it so he fell the same way, but he held on too, so they were kind of okay. And that's when Cricket D caught sight of their other friend, Evelyn Frygun. She slipped too and hung beside them. She kept quiet. Gabe and Cricket D were so scared. Evelyn fried it and cried. but no one knew why. And just as the sun was going down, Abraham Batchild came out, and he could fly, so he pulled them up onto solid ground.
The next day, at the archaeology site,
Abraham Batchild and Deaf Mouse stood on their heads on the ground, and they saw something buried. And they must have had good luck, 'cause a brush showed up and said, "Hi, my name is Gary Anderson, and I could help you brush away all that dirt and sand, and then we could see what's down there." So they got to work, and in just over an hour they found diamonds and rubies and gold. And they said, "Let's go hide this somewhere where no one will know." But just as they were leaving, they saw somebody peeking. Brainchild Debbie from around the corner saw what they were reaping. They said, "Please don't tell Evelyn or she'll take all the treasure." And then Debbie said, "I'll give you 2 more songs before I tell her."
after that, Debbie realized her big head was really heavy. She looked for a place to rest it. That's when she found the glowing branch.
It was a glowing branch party. Brainchild Debbie had a big idea. It was a glowing branch party. Brainchild Debbie had a big idea. She saw a glowing branch, and she said, "Hey, I want to rest my head on that." She saw a glowing branch, and she said, "Hey, I want to rest my head on that." And she liked it, so she invited her friend Evelyn Fragon so she could try it, and she liked it too, so she said, "Thank you for inviting me, I gotta tell ABC." So Abraham Batchild, upside down on the branch he landed, and he was like, "Wow, this is awesome. I gotta tell Deaf Mouse, and he can bring some music when he comes around." It was a glowing branch party. Brainchild Debbie had a big idea. It was a glowing branch party. Brainchild Debbie had a big idea.
In the morning, Deaf Mouse was still pumped. He kept jamming and started a new party. In the sky. Press start for the Superfly level. Bling!
The A minor jam. The Superfly level, man. The Superfly level takes place in the sky. Starts with Deaf Mouse, 'cause he's so fly. He was hanging from the clouds by his feet. Yeah, he was upside down when he dropped a beat. The kick drum bumped, the hi-hat opened, the beat hit the brush, and the brush started floating up to the cloud, and he made it rain. The water started falling onto Debbie's brain, but this alien was not upset. She said, "You know, I like heights and I fly when I'm wet." So she flew up too and started jamming to the music. The beat grew from the way she was moving. That's when the vibes got to Evelyn Fragon. You see, she could fly the whole time and surprise them. Nobody was ready for what they were getting. She flew up beside her friend Brainchild Debbie. She fired her Fragon up into the cloud. It triggered some thunder, and thunder is loud.
When the Superfly level was over, Debbie decided to tell her friend Evelyn about the treasure that had been discovered earlier. Evelyn, figuring she knew where the bats would hide the treasure, headed off to the dungeon.
Evelyn Fragon went to the dungeon looking for diamonds when all of a sudden Abraham Batchild on the ceiling, he told Deaf Mouse, bury everything gleaming. So he put all of the jewels in his mouth, and he dove head first in a hole in the ground, and the brush covered up the tracks. He said, don't worry, Bats, I got your back.